There's broad consensus here in California about the need for an overhaul in the immigration system. You had 67% saying the system is not working, and that really cuts across all age and income groups. It's also not a racial issue anymore. There's almost as much support among whites as Latinos for immigration reform.
They're also very strongly supportive of enhanced border enforcement and of a guest workers program. Over the years since the immigration debates of the 1990s here in California, the residents of this state have decided that we need to fix a broken system. The path to citizenship makes some Republicans unhappy. The enhanced border security and guest worker program makes some Democrats unhappy. But Californians made it pretty clear. This system is broken. We want to fix it now.
So on the path to citizenship, we're really now seeing broad support across the board for that measure, which was once really a polarizing question about whether that would be included as part of immigration legislation. You had more than 80% of California voters saying that they were in support of a path to citizenship.
What we'll do in our polls occasionally is we'll do what's called a split sample, where we ask half the voters one version of a question and the other half of the voters another version of it. And that's what we did on our questions on immigration. Half the voters were asked about a proposal for comprehensive immigration reform, without mentioning who might be supportive of that proposal or who might have authored it. The other half of the voters were asked very specifically what they thought about President Barack Obama's plan for immigration reform.
And what we saw was that support actually shot up among Latinos when it was identified as Obama's plan. And that's really a testament to the loyalty that he's created in that community that he's built up over time, which we saw certainly in the 2012 election results. Among Republicans, which this was not surprising, we did see a dip in support for the immigration plan when it was identified as Obama's plan. But at the same time, you still had a pretty high number of Republicans who were supporting Obama's plan. 58%, a majority, said that they would support Obama's immigration plan. And that suggests that there really is momentum for this issue going forward in Washington.
In addition to the specifics of the reform proposals being debated in Washington, we asked Californians a broader question. We asked them if they thought that people who were in this country without documentation were net positive or net negative for California's economy. 3 years ago when we asked this question, Californians were more likely to say that undocumented immigrants were a net negative on California's economy. Today they think that those same undocumented immigrants are net positive.
By a 17% margin, Californians say that illegal immigrants are actually a positive effect on the economy. And that's a really interesting finding that suggests that maybe people are not as worried anymore about, losing jobs to illegal immigrants and other concerns that they may have had just a few years ago.
And it's not just that the electorate is becoming more Latino and more Asian American. Older voters of all ethnicities, but particularly older white voters over the last 3 years have begun to shift their opinions and begun to see more positive aspects, economically speaking, of the presence of undocumented individuals in the state. That's a seminal change. That's a sea change. And it tells us a lot, not just about California's politics, but about the attitude of Californians toward each other.